Well, it's our favorite time of the week.
It is time for sports.
It was quite the season for women's basketball. They won the Big Ten championship and made it all the way to the Final Four during March Madness until they lost to UConn last Friday.
Yeah, joining us now to talk about all of this and more is the Daily Bruin sports editor, Ira Gorawara. Welcome to the show, Ira.
Thank you.
So you were at the game last Friday in Tampa. Tell us, how was it?
Yeah, well, definitely a tough loss for UCLA.
Yeah.
We lost 85-51. It was actually the biggest loss in Final Four history and the biggest defeat over overall top 1 seed because UConn was number 2 seed. UCLA was the overall number 1 seed. So 34-point loss. Obviously, a lot went wrong for UCLA. I think from my understanding, and we wrote a story about how kind of UConn scouted UCLA out of its identity. I think the way UCLA plays is they have a 6'7" center, Lauren Betts, and she's kind of the center of their offense. And that was kind of their plan going into the game, or so we expected, to kind of work around her. And it's like, she has a big interior presence in the paint, and with her presence there, defenders swarm into the key, and they're all kind of there bundled up, which makes the perimeter guards open for three-pointers or for long-range shots. And that was kind of stifled. UConn really scouted UCLA well, and they had their defenders closing out on UCLA's guards, unlike UCLA's ever seen before. Corey Close, the head coach, said in an interview post-game that they've never been defended like that. They've never been closed out like that. And, UConn's head coach, Gino Auriemma, he's coached for 40 years. He's like a, mastermind of the game. UConn's been to 24 Final Fours. This was their 12th national championship. So they really have the experience. And so that gets into the point. This was not a loss that defines the season. I wrote a column the other day about how this is an unfortunate way to end the season because a lot of people that didn't watch the UCLA's whole season will kind of only tune into this game because it's Final Four. And they'll see this game and kind of be like, oh, the team's bad, or oh, this is wrong, oh, that's wrong, this went wrong, that went wrong, when there's actually so much to celebrate because they were playing against a team that is so familiar with the stage. They have a coach who the coach before the game was like, I don't even want this for myself, I want it for my players, which because he's had it so many times. He's been, under the brightest lights. They also have the future number 1 pick in the WNBA draft. Paige Beckers is their starting point guard. So they have so much experience and so much depth on that team that I don't think that's a good definition of their season, or it's just an unfortunate way to end such a historic season for UCLA.
So what does the season mean for the team? And what are the takeaways that you have from this season?
Totally. Yeah, as I said, it's an unfortunate way to end what was such a historic season. So many firsts in program history. They were ranked at the number 1 in the country for 12 straight weeks, which has never happened before. They had 34 wins in the season and just 3 losses, which was the best record in program history. Obviously won a Big Ten title, Big Ten tournament championship in their first season in the Big Ten. Just so many things to be proud of and so many firsts in program history. Like I said, it was also their first time at the Final Four in 46 years, since 1979. And back then, the women's basketball was sponsored by the AIAW, not the NCAA. So there's a different era as well. That kind of, a lot of people say it's their first Final Four, but it wasn't. This was not their first Final Four, just first time in the NCAA era. So just a lot to celebrate. Also a 23-game win streak to start the season until USC snapped that in the regular season. So there was so much to celebrate. So many, first they got revenge over LSU. LSU knocked them out of the NCAA tournament last season, and this year they beat them in the Elite Eight to advance that Final Four. And so much development in the team, so much development as a coach. A lot of people doubted Corey Close for not being able to get her team to that Final Four level. But she proved that and so much more this season and kind of, silence all that critique around her.
For sure.
So yeah, just so much to celebrate this season and just a big part of UCLA women's basketball's legacy, because obviously UCLA is known for its men's basketball program because of John Wooden and all this, but it was a really defining season, I think, for the women's basketball program here at UCLA.
Looking into next season, what's next for the team?
Yeah, so this week, obviously, season's now over. UConn won the national championship on Sunday, and UCLA season is over. The transfer portal opened, and UCLA has actually had 6 people enter. Some of those were surprises. The entire class of 2024, as in the freshman class this year, all has entered the transfer portal. So that's Avery Kane, Kendall Dudley, Alina Arnisalo, and Zania Saka-Ngumen. And they've all entered the transfer portal by Tuesday. And then this morning, actually, London Jones, who's our starting shooting guard, and she's shoots the lights out from the three-point line. She's been key to a lot of our games, especially down the stretch. She's out of the transfer portal, and so is Janiah Barker, who is this year's Big Ten Sixth Player of the Year. So she's been great off the bench. She transferred to UCLA this past season as a junior, played one season. She was so integral to the the program. She came from Texas A&M, and now she's entering her transfer portal and will enter her like third program in her time at college. So those 2 portal entries came this morning, and that was definitely a surprise because London Jones was part of our starting lineup. Janiyah Barker was huge in our rotations. We have Sienna Betts, who's Lauren Betts' younger sister, and she's the number 2 ranked prospect in the class of 2025 in high school. She's going to be coming next year, and she's going to have a huge role to play because she was like a McDonald's All-American MVP. She's so much hype around her for what she can bring to the court. And so we have her. We have some other high school recruits that are coming in, and obviously Corey Close is going to recruit from the transfer portal as well to kind of make up for what she's lost so far, both those 6 people I mentioned earlier. But yeah, those came as a surprise, and it does raise some questions about what's going on internally of why those 6 players wanted to enter the portal, even after such a historic season, and so much to celebrate after that season. But definitely a lot to look forward next season with Lauren Betts, Kiki Rice, Angela Dugalich, and Gabriella Hawkins all returning, and they're all part of the starting lineup as well. High school recruits to look forward to. And still great players we have on the bench that are going to be returning. Charlize Ledger-Walker, who's came this year to UCLA. She's actually from New Zealand. And she's also a very highly ranked prospect, and she had a lot of hype around her as well. She redshirted this season because of an injury, so she's going to be back next year because she's now cleared to play. And she's also someone that has a lot to look forward to. So yes, some portal entries, and yes, some losses after this season. And there could still be because the portal's still open. Unlikely, but there could. We don't know. But still a lot to look forward to next season. And actually, UCLA is ranked number 1 in the early preseason polls for next year. So still, a lot to look forward to, and they're definitely going to be in chase of the championship next season.
Well, thanks so much for coming on, Ira. It was really great.
Thank you guys so much.
Definitely have you back at some point.
I would love to. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much, Ira.